Welcome to the 115th episode of Talking Times. Finally, we did it. We're gonna have a full episode about Lord of the Rings, and God help me, because I don't know where we're going, but it's gonna be awesome. Without further ado, roll the intro. Let's get this one started, because I'm very excited. Hello, Matheus. Welcome.
Hello, Mike. How are you?
I'm great, man. This, I guess, was one of the fastest intros that I've ever done here because, blah, 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 blah. Let's get the thing started, a lot of interesting stuff for us to cover today. But before we start, man, please introduce yourself.
Very good. So I'm teacher Matheus, as everybody knows me, and I am 27 years old. I am a father and I am a husband, first of all. And I really love to read. And I love rock music. I love English. I love Scotland. My students make a lot of jokes about me because I used to teach them some words in Scottish. I
Oh,
already
man.
made a class about Scottish things, and they joke with me about that, and that's it.
We are going to have a problem then, because I will have to control myself not to speak like this the whole conversation.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
Yes, you can. Please do it.
No, I can't. I remember we were talking about Game of Thrones. I remember 𝗧𝗹𝗶𝗺𝗃, the Onion Knight, that he has this
Yes.
thick accent.
Yes, I love this accent. Really, I love this accent. I love the Irish accent too. Like talking about Game of Thrones, I love
Yeah.
the accent from
Bronn, right?
Dunk. Yes, it's
Yeah.
great.
It's amazing. Okay, right off the bat, a lot of stuff that we could cover here. You mentioned being a husband, a father, love to read.
Mhm.
Okay, no, I put a pin on this and then we go back. You
Yes.
also mentioned that you are a teacher. Every time I have a teacher here in the show, I like to ask, how did you become a teacher? What's your story? Never a straight line, and then what happened to you?
Yeah, I have always liked to teach, really.
Mm.
And I was a little bit lost after I got out of the military life because I served
Mm. Oh,
from
you did?
20, yes, I served on the Air Force from 2019 to 2023.
Mhm.
And when I quit, I was like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do now? Because before I get into the Air Force, I used to teach some kids, some military kids that had some issues with English school and things like that. And when I quit, I worked in a lot of other areas like commercial and these kind of areas. But I find myself do it again, teaching English when I moved to Porto Velho, Rondônia, and I started to teach on online platforms. Then I started to teach in some face-to-face classes, and then I became an English teacher.
Nice. And you started teaching it in Times Goiânia, right?
Yeah,
Okay, Setor Sul, Times Goiânia, Setor Sul. Okay.
yes.
Um, did you have the opportunity to talk about this stuff with your students? No talking. You mentioned that you brought a part of your
Yes.
Scottish preferences, but did you have the opportunity to talk about the Lord of the
Yes.
Rings type of stuff?
Yes, yes, I did. And I made two classes about one was about the hobbits, the Lord
Mhm.
of Rings in general, like the story and what was Lord of the Rings. And I made this class. It was a special class that we have
Mhm.
here. And we talked about how it works, what is Lord of Rings, and this kind of things. And about Scotland, I made one class of that holiday that they celebrate on, I think it's January 25, and which is called Burns. I think it's Burns Day. Maybe I don't remember. Yeah, it's Burns Day on Scotland, which is a holiday celebrating Robert Burns' life. He was a poet. I don't know if you already heard about him, but he was a
No.
poet, a famous poet in Scotland, and he was also a bard. And I made a class about his life, so I bring some of his poems. Was Tamil Shanter, and the other one I forgot the name now. But my students were, oh my gosh, teacher, really is this English? And I said, yes. It's different. It's
Yeah.
different. It's really different because the accent is very, very a little bit. I say a little bit, and I joke with them because I say, oh, it's more, it's easier to understand for me, the Scottish accent, and for them it's harder. So they say, oh, it's not English, teacher. It's everything but not English, and it was
Yeah,
really amazing.
it takes a while for us to adapt. I remember seeing a Scottish boy. He was playing
Mhm.
one of those cell phone games that you have like a bar, and then you
Yes.
have a list of words. Sometimes you
Yes.
have to sing, sometimes you have. He
Uh-huh.
had to pronounce months, and the month was January.
Mhm.
In 30 seconds into the video, I myself forgot how to pronounce the damn word because it was like January, 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 January,
Yes.
January, and it was like,
Very.
and I said, how the fuck the John? And when he had to say June, he said
Dude.
January because he said January, and then he understood June, and then man, it was a mess. Yeah, yeah,
Yes,
yes.
I know, I know. The Northern Ireland accent, it's really hard to, and especially on these days. I watched a guy these days on the social medias, and he was trying to say some names. I don't know what is it. I think it's about social media apps, and he was
Mhm.
like TikTok, TikTok, TikTok,
TikTok.
TikTok, TikTok. Yes, and he didn't. And then he starts, oh my gosh, this thing, it's a bullshit, and I hate this thing.
The tongue is broken. The what? The tongue
Yes,
is broken. The tongue,
yes,
the
yes.
thumb, the tongue. And it's like,
The time, yes, it's
yeah.
it's really, really funny.
And you mentioned reading, that one of the things you like to do on your free time. You mentioned the
Yeah.
Scottish poets too, but
Hmm.
how did this habit or passion begin, Matheus? When somebody read for you as a kid, and you yourself saw the
Yes,
cover of some books and just started reading,
yes.
how did it begin?
It was when I was a kid. My grandma used to read for me, not to read, but she made some stories on her head, and
Really?
yeah, it was really
Oh,
nice
yeah, that's
because
nice.
she imagined all on her head, and then she starts to tell me the story, and I was fascinated with this and with that, and it was really, really good. And then I started to read, but I didn't start to read these kind of stories like fantasy stories and this.
Mm,
I started to read comic books, and I
okay.
started with the Batman and Spider-Man. And when I was a teenager, I fell in love with the Batman stories because I felt like I was becoming more adult, you know?
Mm,
And then I started to read the Batman stories, and it was a little bit darker than the normal stories of
mm.
superheroes. And I really liked in this era. And then I started to read a lot of books. And then I found this, The Hobbit. And
Mhm.
then I fell in love with fantasy stories. Yeah.
I remember when when I was a kid, I read a book that the whole book is, I don't know if in Portuguese they translate it like white fangs, but it's not this. The whole book tells the story of a dog called Buck, and it's a story of a dog, basically, on the
Yeah.
perspective of the dog. Man,
Mm.
after that was a one-way road. I had bingo. I had a teacher, Portuguese teacher, Dona Terezinha. She incentivized us a lot, to
Yeah.
read, and I think I haven't mentioned her this year, by the way. And then it's something that is great, but I don't know if you had this. A lot of times the schools, they kill this because these stories, why are they so powerful? They touch us in a way with the conflicts, the characters, that if you
Yeah.
get a 12, 13-year-old kid and say, okay, read Vidas Secas, it's not gonna, reach the same way. Maybe
Yeah,
when
I
he's
agree.
older, um,
Hmm. And
it's different.
yes, I agree with you. It could be another stories, good story that we have here in Brazil, like Machado de Assis. We have a lot of
Hmm.
stories of Machado de Assis, which are very good and would be very good for the schools to make students to read these stories, and would be easier for people here in Brazil to fall in love with reading if was this kind of books to read here.
Yeah, start with, I don't know, with Monica's Gang, because I remember great stories reading
Yes.
Monica's Gang as a kid. There's going to
Mhm.
be good stuff there, and it's a door. Once the door is open and you walk through,
I
you're
agree.
gonna find your cup of tea, and you will start enjoying
Yeah,
more in different
eh,
genres. It's like that.
I agree. And on that time, we had the Monica stories, which are very
Mm,
good. I loved when I was a kid. My wife loves this
mm,
Monica stories, and as you said, it was the door for people to start reading on that time. And we don't have this anymore. If I don't know if you agree with me, but we don't have this. Like they make Monica, they bring Monica to the other side. Like now she's a teenager, I think, and we have TV series too of Monica. So people are not going to be interested in reading Monica stories anymore. They want to watch.
Oh, I understand that you. Yeah, but this is something very hard to do. For example, I can think of an example talking about literature or movies.
Mhm.
Harry Potter, for example, I am
Yeah.
rewatching with a student the movies. The first movies, especially the first two, I watched it years later. I was already an adult, and I was like, looks like a kid's movie. Okay, and then I watched the other, and I was like, yeah, all right, nice. I like it. They start from the middle to the end.
Yes.
Now I'm 40, so I watched it a few weeks ago, or I guess a month ago. I watched it again. It was an awesome experience, completely different
Yes.
because I could see, and appreciate better. But I noticed it starts like a kid's story, but not in a negative way.
Yes.
But as the characters grew up, I imagine the audience too. So it was done in a way that you can follow the thing and it's gonna reach you. But for example,
Yeah.
let's say you are used to Harry Potter in the first movie vibe. After 20 years, you try to put a adult Harry Potter paying bills. It's not. It doesn't reach you the same
Yeah,
way.
I
It's,
agree.
it's, the- it's tough to do it, and it loses the essence that captivated the audience. I don't know, maybe.
I agree with you. Totally.
Yeah. In So going going to the main topic that we have here today. Uh, this happens with Star Wars too, in a way. What you start with the prequels, or you go to the episode 4, 5, and 6. So, Lord of the Rings. How was your experience? You started with the movies, or first the books and then the movies, and you started with the Hobbit and then Lord of the Rings books. How was it for
Yeah.
you?
Oh, I started with the books. The Hobbit
Okay.
book was my first one. And as I told you before, I was in the movies when I saw
Hmm.
the trailer of the second movie of The Hobbit was the Smaug's Desolation. Oh my
Mm-hmm.
gosh. And I remember on my reaction, I was like, oh my, I can't believe this dragon is come to live action. Oh my gosh, it was really amazing, and that was my first experience with Lord of the Rings. It was with the Hobbit books, and then I read the Lord of the Rings, and then the other books. We had a lot of another books that I think that only people who are fans of Lord
Yeah.
of the Rings know that we have more books than four books, which are the Hobbits, and the three
And then
books of Lord of the Rings.
unfinished tales, children of Húrin, the
Yes,
Berian Luthien, oh man,
Silmarillion.
the Silmarillion, okay, then the letters too, man, a lot of books,
Yes,
yeah.
a lot of books, yes. And I fell in love with this universe and the way that Tolkien made this universe. It is amazing. And I already read this book a million times, and I don't get tired of reading this book because every time I read this book, I find something different that makes me to fall in love again with this universe, which is rich and amazing. And yeah, that's it.
Um, what did you discover when you read, for example, you mentioned that you are a father.
Yes.
I don't know if you agree with this, Matheus, but I imagined something like this, that why are these stories so captivating? Because
Hmm.
they work as psychological mechanisms of incentive and inhibition. For example, you want to be a good person, you have to be like this, be like a Gandalf, a
Yes.
Sam, or an Aragorn. You don't want to be
Yes.
an asshole. Don't be like Sauron, Oh,
Yes,
or
exactly.
maybe we can talk about redemption. You're gonna have flaws like Boromir or even Gollum,
Even gold.
and then
Yes.
it reaches you in a level like, oh, I want to be better. I want to be like this. All right. But my question is, if you agree with this aspect, how was your experience as uh,
Totally.
a son and then as a father? Did you notice different things, in the
Yeah.
story?
Yeah, and I think that is I think that we have to pay attention because in my opinion, if you want our sons to be a good person, we have to be their examples. And
Oh, yeah.
these kind of characters, like you said, Samuel Gamgee and Aragorn, these kind of characters, they they may make us at least try to be like them. They are an
Mm.
example of how to be a good person and to don't give up and these kind of things. And I think this is the best thing that we have about these stories, as you said. And for our sons, it's really amazing for them. Like, why do people love so much Spider-Man? Because they are like us. He is like us, Like everybody loves Spider-Man because he's a poor guy who decide every day to do the right thing, which is he has superpowers, so he has to save another people. So I think these kind of characters are the the best thing for our sons to teach them to follow the right way, in my opinion.
And they something that we were discussing a little bit about the Amazon series,
Yes.
that is something a bit divisive, but a pattern that I notice is sometimes when I saw they would do that, I was so excited, so happy because finally more stuff of Lord of the Rings. Yeah.
Yes.
And I didn't even had Prime Video at the time. I just signed it up because I said, well, fine, the Lord of the Rings. And like 1 year before,
Yes.
when it was announced, I said, no, no, I'm gonna be this one. I'm not going to 𝗏𝗏𝗃 TV. I'm gonna watch there.
Yes.
Then I watched the first episode, when it starts with the two trees there. Oh man,
Yeah.
I noticed I was almost crying. I was so happy.
Yes.
And then it went south. you know.
Yes,
Because
I agree.
I don't know, some writers, they are so arrogant because the story is already there. Okay, to be fair, they got like a few chapters, not even a chapter, a few information, little information they had from the, I guess what was the third book, that they had some things about the second era there that they could use,
Yes. Mhm.
and they have to make the whole series about it. They couldn't use 𝗬𝗎𝗓, they could quote, but but
Yes.
okay. But they changed a lot of the essence there. For example, Galadriel there, it takes a while for her to start having imperfections, for example, and
Yeah,
it
I see her more like a warrior than
exactly, yeah.
mm,
And
yeah,
it's not a problem, but I don't know. But the problem is, it makes the character unlikable unless she has a lot of flaws. Like
yes,
we were talking. Why do we love Aragorn and Sam? Because they are not perfect. They have Peter Parker, as you mentioned. He has
yes.
some internal conflicts, and stuff like
Hmm.
that.
Yeah.
Um, okay, let's start with the fan discussion or conversation then. Okay, first thing, uh, okay, what character is your favorite and why, or what moment of and then what moment of the story is your favorite and why, man?
Okay, my favorite character of Lord of the Rings is Samuel Gamgee.
Okay,
Totally.
so,
Yes, I think, and my favorite part of the story of Lord of the Rings,
mhm.
because we have this in the books and we have this in the movies, uh, is that part when he didn't let Frodo give up. For me, that
Oh
that
yeah,
is the best part of the story, because if it wasn't him, maybe all of this that we are talking, we would not be talking about that now, because
I cannot carry the ring for you, Mr. Frodo, but I can carry you.
yes, exactly, and that's really good. That's really good.
Yeah,
The way that Tolkien right about that, and that is a positive thing, because as we were talking about the adaptations from the books to the
uh-huh.
movies, I think that this scene on the movies were amazing, and these are my favorite part. This is my favorite part of the story, totally, because it's really inspirational. It's like, oh,
It
you
is.
you you can't you can't do it anymore. I can't do it, but I have to. Okay, it's my I have to do it because there are people depending on it. So that's really amazing for
Yeah.
me.
Uh, After you become an adult and you start to have more responsibilities, before
Mhm.
I like at battle scenes because it's cool. I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe it's a guy thing. You watch a lot of guys clashing, cutting and
yeah, it's
slashing and
really good. I
killing.
agree.
Oh my god, yeah. Why the fuck they're dying? A lot of violence. Why do you like it? I don't know, but it's awesome. After you become an adult, you understand what that represents, that the
Yeah.
battles that you have to face and why it's so heroic, why the war impact us the way it does, because sometimes you have to do what you don't want to do for people that you care about, and that's beautiful. It's very sad, but it's beautiful. But it's very sad, but it's beautiful.
I
No.
mean, yeah, that's it. That's just as you said. No, it's that kind of battles that we see in movies, and when we bring it to the real life, we realize that that's it. We have to fight every day. We have to push ourselves to the limit, and we have to keep going. That's the truth. Okay, no matter what. You have to remember, as you said, when you become an adult, you have more responsibilities, and you have to keep going because there are people who depend on you. And
Yeah.
that's the for me, that's the best thing.
Was there anything when you were telling me before about that is hard to adapt to some stuff.
Yes.
Lord of the Rings is overly descripted by Tolkien. I'm not saying this in a negative way. I'm saying as a characteristic. He likes
Yes.
to be. You will read a page and you will see is good. You will see the smell, but you can imagine they smell the colors of everything.
Exactly.
Everything. He really paints the perfect uh, frame and picture for you to imagine.
Exactly.
Uh, but then I don't know if you agree with this, or maybe this was my impression because I watched the movies first. But
Mhm.
when I was reading the books, I first watched the movies and then I decided to read the books. I
Okay.
think he was not overly descripted on the battle scenes. It was like, oh, and then there's a battle, they fought, and that was it.
Yeah.
So why, why?
Yeah. I don't know if you agree with me, but I think that the Hobbit scene of the battle, it's more detailed than the battle that we have in the Lord of the Rings and
Oh,
the
definitely. Even
the
Minas
movie.
Tirith too in the second book. Because for me
Yeah.
that's one of the best battle scenes
Yes.
ever. I was also rewatching Game of Thrones, and then I had the Battle of the Bastards that is one moment that I really like in the show, and
Yeah.
I
For me, the
rewatched that.
best.
No, it's amazing, and it reminds me of a Bernard Cornwell
Yeah.
battle scene. It's another great writer, and then I
Mhm.
rewatched the Long Night. Long Night for me, it's there are some things inspired on Minas Tirith battle, but it doesn't
Mhm.
hit you the same way, because it's too dark. Some decisions,
Yes.
for example, you get the Dothraki cavalry and send them into the dark, like you don't know what's. I don't know. Maybe I'm
I
being
agree
too
with you.
picky.
No, you know.
And
No, you're not.
it's-
I agree.
and then when I was reading, the story, I wanted for more. But when I was in the cinema, I really, really felt afraid, for that when they showed that man, that scene that Aragorn get a half-ass sword all beat up, he does the and say, "Yeah, this is good swords." It's like he knows that teenage boy's gonna die in one clash with the
Yeah,
North or Urukai. But what else can he do? He needs to have hope.
exactly. That's the
And
point.
man, I got goosebumps just remembering that.
Me too. Yeah,
And and the whole thing, for example, you have the Marvel movies where they put sometimes a lot of jokes in some serious situations, and some people don't
yeah.
like. In the middle of that scene, you will have Legolas and Gimli like 22, 23, and then Legolas 24, like competing who kills more orcs,
Yeah.
and you believe, because the guys are too badass. They don't know if they're gonna, die or not, and it's kind of a friendship thing that you
It's
imagine
really
doing.
good.
I don't know.
Yeah.
There's so much there. But
This things makes you and your best friend doing the same thing.
yeah, yeah, I felt the same, like something like this. So, um, are you afraid if they decided to adapt the Silmarillion that the same formula is gonna repeat? Because, for example, just to contextualize,
Mhm.
if they made 10 seasons of Ring of Power, I'm gonna be stubborn. I'm gonna watch all of the 10. I'm gonna probably hate if they keep doing what they are doing. That is like nice effects, but yeah, it feels like a spin-off that is not there. But okay, but I still have hope. But if they decide to make the movie or series about Silmarillion, I'm definitely gonna watch. I'm gonna be in the first row if I can,
Yeah, me too.
and hope. Please don't butcher this one. Don't butcher this one.
Yes.
Uh, are you afraid or no? You're optimistic. How do you feel about that, man?
Being honest with you, I'm a little bit afraid because, as you said, this I don't want the Silmarillion, which is the best story for me from this universe, and I don't want it to be adapt like the way it was in
Hmm.
Rings of Power. And I think that if they want to make this movie, they have to be like the rock star to make the GTA. They have to be
Hmm.
very, they have to pay attention to the details as Tolkien do on the books,
Yeah.
and it would be a very good movie to see in the cinema, and I would watch this movie at least one time a week when would be released.
Yeah.
But yeah, as you told, I'm a little bit afraid because yeah, it's hard to adapt. As I told you, it's a hard story to adapt. We have a lot of details on the books which are really hard to adapt on the movies. In Peter Jackson movies, uh, I think that they did what they could do, being
Yeah.
honest.
Hmm.
They did what they could do because it's really hard to adapt. There is a lot of details. They missed a lot of things and they add a lot of things too. See, that's the point. That's because the fans uh are afraid, like you and me, of these new adaptations of Lord of the Rings because we don't know if they are going to miss some things or if they are going to add new things on the stories. Like because as you said, oh, the story is already made. Okay, you don't have to add, you don't have to miss, you just have to adapt. But it's hard, to
They
the
cannot help
movie.
themselves, though.
Yes.
Oh, he wrote this story like this, but he did it on the 70s. I think it's not gonna reach,
Yeah.
and touch the hearts of people. I'm gonna put my touch here. Random
Yes.
producer, random writer, nobody gives a damn. Okay, I'll hold
And,
my horses. And then they do
and,
it.
and we have this problem even with Game of Thrones
Oh,
because
yeah,
George
definitely.
Martin are still alive, is still alive.
Hmm.
And even with him in the production of the movies, people have some disagreement with him, and they turn around the story of these movies like to the opposite, you know,
Exactly.
and it's really hard, because they are trying to put their feelings on the movies and the stories, and you just have to adapt. It's not so difficult. I don't know if just because I'm just saying it, but for
Uh-huh.
me, it's simple. You just have to adapt. You have the book. You have like the first movie of Lord of the Rings. They made it
Hmm.
in 3 hours, but the book has 600 pages.
Yeah.
So you have 600 pages to adapt. So you have a lot of things to adapt, in my opinion. But asking you in your answering your question, I'm a little bit afraid. Yes.
Yeah. On another perspective, there is still hope too, because I noticed a trend. I was having this exact conversation with Mauricio, he's right here next to me. We're talking
Mm-hmm.
about the new 𝗲𝗃𝗃𝗃 movie,
Mm-hmm.
and I had this conversation about One Piece too, that Oda is supervising. They have done a very nice work there with the adaptation, and One Piece is, as
Mm-hmm.
given the proportions, is as difficult as Lord of the Rings because
Yes.
of the things in the universe. It's very crazy, very logical,
Mm-hmm.
and they could do something interesting there. Uh, I guess what they may be realizing is that the stories are what they are, and they are important for us because they represent some things that are kind of constant. 200 years from now, maybe we will probably still dying and struggling the same things that we struggle today. There will be
Yes.
betrayal, there will be lust, there will be famine, there will be a lot of hardships that still exist. So when you have these elements in the story and they help you to go through this in life, you're gonna get hooked in the story. You don't have to change it. The villain doesn't need to have a sad past. Oh, that's why he's so bad. Maybe he's just the
Yeah.
Dark Lord and he's evil and that's it.
Yes. Like
And stuff
Sauron.
like that. Yeah, exactly. For example, I hated, man, what they've done with the orcs there. The orc with the babes and oh, we're just like family here. Do we need to go to
Yeah.
the other? Man,
Oh my
come on.
gosh. Oh yeah.
Oh,
Oh my gosh.
I was so
Yeah.
angry because I imagine this is a common thing that all the fans will say, because Tolkien is very clear that it's a corruption of the elves. They are bloodthirsty creatures, you know,
Oh my gosh, yeah,
and yeah.
that's true, and that's the part that I hate, as you said, when
Mhm.
they take a part which is logical, which is always this, and they make into another thing. I hate these kind of things.
Yeah.
And if I was like a Tolkien's membership of his family, maybe, or like uh or like a writer in, I don't know, maybe someone is adapting my book. And if if I had to pass through these kind of things, I would be very angry.
I
Yes,
will say
very
you
angry.
can adapt, but you cannot touch this. This has to be
Yeah,
there.
exactly. You have to adapt exactly
Otherwise, you're
as it's
creating
right.
something else. You
Yes,
change the name. For example,
exactly.
Lord of the Rings reimagine. Whatever. Okay,
Exactly.
nobody would. I wouldn't mind, man, because some people were complaining about the difference in personality of the Galadriel from the books and movies and in the series. I said, okay,
Mhm.
but she was kind of younger there, like a
Yeah,
1,000 years younger. In books are mentioned that she was. I don't care if you put Galadriel with a bazooka if you have the essence there, like a John Wick scene with
yes,
Galadriel. I would say like, what the fuck? Okay, that's a cool action scene. Okay, I will ignore. But when you change the essence of what is the evil there,
yeah,
and the romance thing with Sauron and Galadriel too, for me was
yes.
okay,
Yeah,
it's
it was
weird.
not good. I agree. It
Yeah.
was really weird. And there was a point of this series that I thought they would be a
Oh,
couple.
mushrooms.
Yes, exactly. And I was, oh my gosh, what is happening here? It was
I
not
imagine
that,
the writer like
but
this, like, oh, some shrooms. Okay, I'm gonna write one more
yes.
chapter. Like, what the fuck is happening here?
What the hell is that? Yes, it was really strange, being honest. You said I was too polite. I won't be polite now because this part is very trash. Yeah.
Yes. Now we're gonna have some mind cuts.
Yes, it was really trash. I would say that it was really trash. I was trying to
Oh,
be polite, but I can't anymore.
no, you don't hear that channel is not monetized yet, so you don't need to have filters, but
Yeah.
it's fine.
Okay. Okay.
Um, Now let's do something a bit different. Imagine somebody who has never watched Lord of the Rings and
Mhm.
started to watch this episode and say, "What the fuck are they talking about?" So
Mhm.
how would you show Lord of the Rings today? Imagine there is somebody who doesn't know what is that about, has no idea, but the person says, "Oh, I like some fantasy stories, maybe." How would
Mhm.
you invite the person to our gang? I mean, to start watching the thing. What would
I
be
think,
your pitch to Lord of the Rings?
being honest, as you told me at the beginning of this podcast, uh, we have some kind of books which are easier to imagine things,
Hmm.
like, oh, it's easier to read and it's easier to imagine some things, and it could introduce you on this universe. So not being that, oh my gosh, you have to follow like the order of the movie. No,
Uh-huh.
but I would recommend this person to start with the book of the Hobbits, or maybe the
Hmm.
movies, even with the movies not being exactly what I was expecting. Yeah.
Hmm.
I don't know if my student Samuel is watching this podcast right now because he's a big fan of
Oh,
Hobbits. But
by
God,
the
I
way,
by the
good
way,
evening, Sylvan. Leo says here, oh my God, you guys are so nerds. Yes, we are.
yes, we
It's
are
the geek
very,
month. Come on.
yes, exactly. And we have to be more geek than we are
Yeah.
normally. So I would really recommend this person to starting reading the Hobbit book, because we have a lot of images in the book that
Hmm.
was made by Tolkien. Okay,
Yeah,
so
it's true.
it's really good.
The
And
mapping, the creatures, the
yes,
things. Yeah.
And we have the a picture of Wolfenda, which is really amazing. And at least this part of the movie, it's quite similar. It's not
Mm,
totally similar, but
mhm,
it's a little bit. We could imagine like this in the movies. It's really amazing the way that Tolkien speak with you. And as you said, we can read a whole page and we can imagine the little details
mhm,
of the page and of the scenario. He describes everything and like, oh, you're in a house, and this house has three doors, two
mm.
windows. The air is like, oh my gosh, it's it's very, very rich. And
The
I think this
warm
kind,
smell
yeah,
of fresh baked bread
exactly.
was there coming out of the oven, and then like, it starts.
Exactly. This is really amazing because I think this make us to imagine exactly how the scenario is, and that's the power of reading. Make you imagine things, and you go to another universe. It's like
It's
this.
true.
You feel, it's like emergence, like if you
Mm,
emerge in this universe. And I think that if you start with this book, which has dwarves, we have people who are short than dwarves, which are the hobbits. We
mhm.
have elves, we have dragons, we have normal people, we have uh,
The
goblins,
wizards too.
the wizard. Yes, it's really good. It's a really good story. And yeah, that's it.
I asked you because we have this friend here, Marcel, that he has the DVDs and stuff, and I have been talking. Have you watched the movies? Oh, not yet. Come on, man, come on.
Oh,
And
come on.
then I mentioned, imagine a movie that you're gonna have romance, that you're gonna have
Mhm.
terror, and he loves terror movies, and
Yes.
he watched some of the trash terror movies that Peter
Mm.
Jackson himself, uh, directed. And you're gonna have a lot of action. You're gonna have some humor there, some comedy, some. It's a complete story,
Yeah.
you have a lot of stuff there. Um, i- i- so I would focus on the elements that I know the person likes, and then I'll pay attention in this, for
Yes.
example. Which character do you consider the more complex there? Because, for example, you mentioned that your favorite is Sam, but maybe
Hmm.
you have a different notion. Okay, Sam is my favorite, but I don't think it's the most complex character. Think
Yes.
it's one. So, uh, which one do you think is the most complex there?
I think, being honest, that Aragorn is the
Hmm.
most complex, in my opinion.
Okay, it's not
And
the straight line hero there. Yeah.
yeah, he is, nobody know who is that guy in the beginning of the story.
Hmm.
Like,
Just a
and
ranger, Strider the
yes,
ranger.
Strider, Ranger, nobody know. Oh my gosh, it's just the king. Okay, he's right here in front of you. Okay, it's the king, but okay. And I think that people don't even know what age he is
Oh,
on the
okay,
movies.
it's
People
true.
forget, and you'll see
200
it.
something, I guess, right? Or is
Yeah, no,
something like
it's like
not 200,
80. It's
80 something. That's true.
87. Yes.
Yeah.
And people forget about it, like, oh, and that's because of his bloodline.
Dunedain bloodline, something like that.
Yes, I think it's because of his bloodline, and he have no appearance of an old person. So it's really hard to, like, I don't know if you remember this scene, like when I think it's Elden, yes, she asked him, oh, uh, how old are you? Because
Hmm.
he mentioned a thing that was years ago, like
It's
60
true.
years ago, and she was, how old are you? And he is like, oh, I'm 87. And then she was, oh my gosh, 87?
They live it
Yes,
twice as much, right? Yeah.
yes, exactly. So I
This is
think
the
this,
good scene. Is the scene of these two when
yeah.
like
Exactly. And it's another character that I like so much. It's Elden because I think she remembers me of a little bit of Joanna Dark when she goes to the
Mm,
battle, and she cuts off his not that Nazgul of sorrow, and it was really nice. But I think the most complex character of Lord of the Rings, in my opinion, is Aragorn because in the beginning, of course, because we didn't know even who is he and who he is in the case, and he was a little bit, I don't know, very mysterious in the beginning.
mhm.
So I think it's he and Gandalf too. Gandalf, it's really complex
Oh,
too,
mhm,
especially in the books. I won't say this now because I think that it's a good topic to talk later. But
mhm,
he is very complex because no, he is like disappearing and coming back all the time, exactly as in the
mhm,
movies. Okay, in the movies he disappears and comes back all the time. In the books, it's even worse.
mhm.
Yeah, it's like he was a hologram, maybe.
Yeah, I thought the same thing. Like the Dungeons and Dragons,
Yeah,
what's the name in English? It's not Master of the
yeah,
Mages.
I
What's the
forgot the name. Oh
I
my God.
forgot the name too, man. But everybody knows who we are talking about.
Yeah,
The wizardry short guy that always has a enigma and a riddle, and
yeah.
and appears. Aha! Well done, guys.
Exactly.
Yeah. I like Aragorn so much. He's one of my favorite. My favorite, my top one is Gandalf. You know,
Mhm.
and
Gandalf
I
is nice.
first didn't know why, but I guess when I started to think about it, it is like if I could have somebody like him in my life, I would like to have. It's like the wiser that
Yeah,
helps to go to the your correct path and gets the bad out of. He helps everybody. Every single one
exactly.
there. When interacts with Gandalf, he helps the person to improve. It's like a real the archetype of the mentor, and something like this.
Exactly. I agree.
So nice.
And even when you were wrong, he's going to help you, and he is
Mhm.
always saying the truth. That's really
Yeah,
good.
it's Aragorn is special too because I remember seeing a video some time ago that was showing about the examples of masculinity that he and that he shows
Yes.
in a way that today there is this conversation that a lot of guys are insecure, they don't know what is toxic, what is not toxic, and roles to follow. he
Hmm.
he has all the steps there, like he is the king. So but he doesn't want to be the king, and maybe
Hmm.
we're gonna cover this in a few minutes, but about how power corrupts, and he can have the power but he doesn't want. And
Yeah,
that's this very same reason that makes him a good leader. He doesn't want to the power, like I want to
exactly.
control everybody. Then he has this journey, like I'm imperfect, my blood is corrupt, the same corrupt blood runs into my veins. And that scene in the movie, it was amazingly done when he is tempted by the ring, Aragorn, you have the mystery
Yes.
voice. Then he gets his hands and he closes Frodo's and he says, I would have gone with you to the very, fires of Mountain Doom, but he can't. He has to let go because he knows that he's gonna be flawed. Man, it's
Amazing.
fucking well written. It's amazing.
Yeah,
And he almost dies protecting the people, when they are ambushed, and man, it's impressive. Um,
yeah.
okay, let's talk about Gandalf then.
Okay.
Mysterious character. What do you think is his role there? Why is Gandalf relevant for the story? What moment you consider interesting too?
Of Gandalf. Oh, I think that it this in the book it's really different from the movies. Like when he discovered the ring on the
Mm-hmm.
book, he spent like 17 years
Mm-hmm.
like searching for Gollum. Aragorn, and he was like searching for Gollum because he realized that Gollum knew. who was Bilbo, and then he was trying to find Gollum any way possible, and then he just like Frodo was like 33, I think, and then
Hmm.
he goes to the journey 17 years after, you know, no, before, sorry, he goes at 17 years before, uh, goes like to search for Gollum. So I think this it's really mysterious, as I said, because he come and goes all the time, and he in this story, in my opinion, he is like the guide, you know. He is like,
Hmm.
oh my gosh, I don't know where we are going, but I am going
Follow
to
your nose.
lead you. Exactly. Exactly. And he's like, "Oh, I'm going to guide you, even that I don't know exactly where we are going, but I'm going to
Yeah.
lead you, I'm going to guide you." And as you said, he's pretty amazing. I really like Gandalf too, because he's never going to tell you lies. There is a good scene on the movie, one of the little scenes of the movie that we have that they are good. That is that scene when Bilbo asks him like, "Can you guarantee that I'm going to that I will get back home?" And he says, "No." Like
It's
just
very
that,
honest, yeah.
no.
And if
Okay,
you go, you're not gonna. If you return, you're not gonna be
then
the same.
you're not gonna be the same exactly.
Yeah.
And then if Bilbo answers like, yeah, that's what I thought. And then,
Hmm.
but this was for me, that was the main reason for people to change his mind, to go with the dwarfs to the mountain, because as Gandalf say in the beginning of the story, like because uh Bilbo was a smart hobbit when he was younger, and he was very curious, and then when Gandalf talks about it, and he was like thinking with himself, like, "Oh my gosh." I think that if he was thinking about something, he was thinking like, "Oh, I think I won't have this chance again, so I will have to
Yeah.
go." Even then I know that maybe I will not return, but that's my chance. And that's what Gandalf do. He convinced you to do the most impossible things that you can do. And when there is a funny scene too, that when Bilbo gets to the dwarfs, like he changed his mind and he goes with the dwarfs, and then they make a bet. They made a bet, like they made a bet about if Bilbo was coming or not. And then
I
Bilbo
never
asked
thought of
him,
you.
yeah, exactly. This city is really good. I never doubt you even for a minute, my your Hobbit. So it's really
Yeah.
good, really good.
He
I
he
love him.
really
Love him.
he really gives you a nudge at the door. So he really pushes
Yeah,
you in the right
exactly.
direction. But the thing is, and that's a lesson for everybody who wants to be a leader of some sort.
Yeah.
He doesn't do the things for you. You do the things because that's what's going to allow you to grow. He doesn't solve the
Exactly.
things for you. He just gives you the points to the direction, and he helps you to be whoever you want to be.
Nice.
um
Exactly.
what do you think the One Ring represents, Matheus? Because when people see Lord of the Rings,
Mhm.
well, it's about a jewelry store. What's that about? So
Mhm.
what does it represent? Why is it so relevant in the story? And
Yeah, okay. So I don't know if I'm going to be a little religious, but
mm,
Tolkien
Tolkien
say
was himself, so it doesn't matter. We can be Jew.
yeah, yes, because I think that represents the sin. You know,
Mm,
you have to fight against yourself to not to put the ring, you know? And a lot of people think that in the books are the same thing than the movies, but it's not. Like you don't disappear when you wear the ring in the books.
nah.
You just go to another dimension where the Nazgûls and Sauron can see you, so it's completely different, in my opinion. Yeah.
Mhm.
But I think that the ring represents the sins that we have, and we have a lot of sins. But
Mhm.
the ring, it's like he controls all the other rings. We have 7 rings to the dwarfs, 9 rings to the humans, 3 rings to the elves, and then we have 1 ring which controls all of these rings. So I think this is like the a sin, and you
So
have
it
to
doesn't
fight.
matter how much power do you have. If you fall to
Yes,
the sin, you're gonna be ruled by evil, something like
exactly,
that. Yeah,
exactly.
makes sense. I didn't make the right connect at first to sin, but I was close to. I thought about temptation, because
Yes,
especially,
true.
but this was because I watched the movies first, and the
Mm-hmm.
voice and like, oh, do this, you're gonna be, everybody has a moment of temptation,
Exactly.
and the
Yeah.
ego thing, and is quite the opposite of you expect. For example, going back to what you said about Aragorn too,
Mm-hmm.
that the leader and the king, he has to be willing to sacrifice to the people that he's serving. And you
Exactly.
see with Gandalf, with Galadriel, with Boromir, Galadriel, oh, I'm gonna be the lady that everybody's gonna worship, my power is gonna be blah blah blah. Gandalf, oh, I would have good intentions to use their ring for good. He's almost trying to justify why he should
Yes.
wear the ring. But then he says, through me you would exert like a terrible power, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Gondor, no, Boromir the same. Why shouldn't we
Boromir.
use this power against the enemy? Blah blah blah. Man, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Man, we are already running out of time. We have like, damn, I told you time would fly.
Yes.
Like Gandalf says, fly your fools.
Fire
But
first.
yeah, I think we can wrap this up doing something interesting here. What are the lessons in general that you think the story of Lord of the Rings, movies, the
Mhm.
books in general, what are the lessons that, for example, we talked a little bit about Sam, so be there for a friend in danger, carry your
Yeah.
friends when he cannot go on. This I guess it would be one, but I have a favorite moment where Gandalf talks to Frodo. Don't be too eager to judge who lives and who dies. A lot of people who
It's-
dies deserve to live. A lot of people who live deserve to die. Can you give it to them? That scene is
oh my
like,
gosh, it's that give me goosebumps every time. Oh my god.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So what are the lessons that you can get from
Yeah.
this story, man?
Oh, I think that the main lesson that you can get from this story is that you have to choose to be good all the time over to be evil. No, because there will be times that you will have the chance to choose to be evil. So, but you don't have to do it. Okay. The story shows there is evil and good, and you have to do the right thing all the times. Even then it hurts. Like for Frodo, it's uh, his mission. He has to carry the ring into the mountain of fire. So it's his task. It's his mission, and as you said, friendship, that's really amazing. That's why I love Sam, because when you have this power of friendship, when you have a friend like him, you almost it's like almost you were, powerful because you can pass through a lot of things, difficult times on your life. You have to have somebody that you can count on these hours. So these lessons are very good for us, in my opinion. And for me, the lesson is always choose to be good
Mm.
all over the other things.
I couldn't have said it better, but you remind me of something that Gandalf said too, or Sam, I don't remember who, that are the little actions of good that we do every day that actually puts evil at bay. It
It
was not supposed to rhyme, but it's something like this.
really good, really amazing. You sound like a Scottish poet.
No, it was completely accent. The little do that, put evil at me. But it's something like this. Forgive me if I misquote the thing.
Nice.
Ah, man, I would definitely rewatch again. I do this every year, like the marathon. But I'm
Yeah.
very excited to do this with my daughter. But it's just she's 40 days old, so I can obviously not do
40
it
days. Oh
now.
my gosh.
Yeah, but I can put the soundtrack for her. Tan, 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 tan.
No, it's really
It's good
good.
for the baby to sleep. It's amazing. Then it's
Yeah,
like white
it's really
noise.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, even that Shire songs, it's really good.
No, she slept with the playlist like that these days. But man, I arrived
Nice.
at home, I started almost crying. My wife was with her, and it was like a Hobbit, like Hobbit town, and a
Yeah.
playlist like boo doo doo boo 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 doo doo. And I was like,
Yeah, no,
"Bro,
no,
how
I
was your
have
day?"
to hold
Oh,
on, hold on.
yeah, yeah. Hold on. Then I cried in the car on the other day, remember? But anyways, um, man, uh, we don't have more time, unfortunately. But you are welcome to return as many
Oh my
times you
gosh.
want, man, for us to
Thank you.
dive in these conversations. For everyone watching us, Matheus, final message here,
Yes.
and thank you so much, by the way.
Thank you for this opportunity. It's really good to be here. It's really good to work with you guys. It's really good to be at times working and teaching every day. And I love to teach. And a message that I have to you, it's, as I said, always choose to be good over all of the other things. Okay? There is times that things will be hard, but always choose to do the right thing. And you are not alone. You are never alone. There is always someone who cares a lot about you. And that's it. Thank you so much for this opportunity. It was really amazing to talk with you, Mike, about a thing that I love, which is Lord of the Rings and reading.
Likewise.
Yes. And maybe another topic that we can talk in another conversation, but I'm open to come back here all the times you need that I can get
Oh,
back.
you shouldn't have said that, man. No, there's going to be a lot of movies coming out, so we could do some reviews and
Yes,
discussions here now. And
perfect.
well, moments that the writers use mushrooms and decided to. Okay, that's a topic for another
Exactly.
conversation.
I
Thank
agree.
you so much, Matheus. Very nice
Thank
talking
you,
to you
Mike.
too, man.
Really
And
good.
guys, don't forget to do the little good of the day. Subscribe to the channel, like this video, send to someone. Don't forget this Spotify is going. This is Spotify. This episode, I'm bugged. This episode is going to be on Spotify tomorrow. And Lord of the Rings is an amazing story. You will not want to miss it. Bye bye. See you.